Yo, what's happening, people? Okay, so I want to talk about Buffy season 3. I'm gonna bring this just a little bit closer and ignore the unicorn horn on my forehead. I thought it was a unicorn horn. I thought finally my unicorn horn is coming through, but no, it was a pimple. Hopefully that'll be gone soon and my unicorn horn can actually come through in due course. But anyway, I'm gonna talk about Buffy season 3, a little bit of season 1 and 2 as well, but mostly Buffy season 3. I just watched it, have some thoughts on it I want to share. This is not gonna be like a review, really. This is more of an opinion dump, really. I just watched the show. I have some thoughts on it, and I'm going to dump some opinions on video. That's pretty much it. But first, coffee. This is a flat white. It's alright. It's alright. All right. So let's talk about Buffy season 3. I would say as a kind of review type thing that overall I did enjoy it. I feel like at this point I'm pretty invested in the Buffyverse. I've watched season 1, 2, and 3. I think it's Angel I should watch next, because I think this is where Angel shows starts. So I think that's next, and then season 4 Buffy, yeah, that sort of thing. But anyway, I feel like I'm pretty invested in knowing what happens next at this point. So I would say that overall I enjoyed it. That being said, though, this is kind of a weird season, and I guess to be fair, a lot of the stuff that I'm about to talk about happened in seasons 1 and 2 as well. But I don't know, maybe it seemed more prevalent in this season. It seemed more what's the word? Noticeable in this season. And that could be because, like, rather than doing the reactions, I just watched it regular and kind of not quite binging it, but watching it close together. And perhaps because of that, I'm noticing things that just don't quite make a whole lot of sense. Things that don't quite add up so well. And also, I have to bear in mind that I'm watching this in 2022. I didn't watch it back in 97, 98, when it's originally aired. So a lot of my opinions is going to be the fact that we're in a much different time and cultural space in society now that we was back then. And I respect that, but it's going to be part of my formed opinion and part of things when I know this. But yeah, it does seem to walk this like weird line. Not really weird, but that's not the right word to use. But it walks this line where the show, it has comedic elements, but it's not a comedy. It has dramatic elements, but it's not drama. It has horrific elements or horror elements, but it's not really a horror. It just kind of borrows these elements from these different genres, but it never really fully commits to any of them. And I guess it kind of leans a bit more to the drama and the horror side, but it never really fully commits. Like, there's a few moments in season 2 where it fully committed to the horror, like where you had Angel, like, killing oh, by the way, spoilers. There's gonna be spoilers in this video. We had Angel killing Jenny and then putting the body in Giles's bedroom. That was like raw, right? And there was another bit with Willow in season 2 where Oz he becomes a werewolf, and they're kind of dealing with that, and she says, oh, that's okay. A few days out of the month, I'm not fun to be around either. That was brilliant, right? But for the most part, that was season 2 and 3 especially, like, it has these bits that are funny, bits that are dramatic, bits that are horrific, horror, but it just never feels like it's fully committing to any of them, and it just kind of walks its line. And that's not a problem in and of itself, but it does kind of, like, at least for me, it just kind of makes it hard to look past certain things. Like, for example, like when Buffy runs, she runs like somebody who doesn't run, And if it was something that fully committed to being a comedy, you could kind of look past that sort of thing because, like, whatever, right? But because it doesn't fully commit to being a comedy, and this is a bit that seems like it's supposed to be a bit more serious, and then Buffy's like running, like, and it's like, how am I supposed to take that? Because it's not a funny moment, but right? So it's just kind of like there's these weird things like that. And another bit where they pulled off this, or they tried to do this joke where uh, Buffy was talking about this guy who was about to commit suicide because they thought it was going to be a school shooter. Turns out he was about to commit suicide, and she talks him down from that, talking about people don't notice you, and it's a real serious moment. Even though she thought he was about to kill a whole bunch of people, everything she was saying still applied because I guess it's the same sort of or similar sort of mindset that he just felt lonely, felt like he didn't belong and wanted to pay or wanted to end his life, or and they thought he was going to take out on other people. Turns out he was going to take out on himself. So a lot of what she was saying applied regardless of that he was going to kill himself rather than kill a bunch of people. So it's a real serious moment in that space. But then afterwards, she's talking to Giles and she's talking about an incident, and she's like, "Oh yeah, he gave me that look that says he's going to ask me out to prom." And it's like, yeah. See, if it was fully committing to being a comedy, you can pull off a joke like that. But because it doesn't, and you just had this real serious moment, it's like, that just came across as shallow, It just came across as shallow. And maybe if Cordelia said something like that, that might have worked better because her whole character is supposed to be shallow, right? But coming from Buffy, it just came across as like just a bit odd. It just came across as odd. But yeah, so it does seem like these weird things where, like I say, it's not funny enough to be a comedy. It's not horrific enough to be a horror. It's not dramatic enough to be a drama. Whereas elements from all these sort of genres walks this line in between them, dips in and out, dips in and out of these, but never seems to fully commit to anything. And then it just has this show at the end. And apparently, I've heard this from a few different people now, that season 5 is where it does commit. Apparently, season 5 is where it does fully commit to the more drama side of things and gets real serious. So that's something to look forward to. But for now, at least, with season 3, it just seemed very non-committal in its approach to the season. But yeah, like I said, I did enjoy it overall. It had some cool parts of it. I liked Faith's character. I thought she was probably, in my opinion, the most interesting character in this season. I liked her development just from being a slayer, coming from this sort of a poorer background, and I think her mother wasn't around, or mother I can't no I think her mother was around, or father wasn't around, or something like that anyway. But she had some kind of broken home, I think. And coming from that, being a slayer, maybe enjoying the slaying a little bit too much, and then killing the dude, and then from there just went on this downward spiral, and I thought that was pretty cool. I did feel like the way they handled it seemed a bit lame though, because like she killed this dude by accident, but the way they kind of framed, or the way they were speaking about it, like the way they had Buffy speaking about it, it's like they didn't seem to acknowledge it was an accident. She was like, "You killed somebody. We need to." It's like it was an accident, right? I mean, not to say that doesn't makes it, okay. It's still you still kill somebody, but the emphasis I felt should have been that it was an accident. And then, as Giles was saying as well, it's like, yeah, it's tragic, but these things do happen, and we can deal with these. So it just felt like the emphasis should have been more on the fact it was an accident rather than that she killed somebody. But they went with the emphasize that she killed somebody, which didn't seem to make sense in that scene. But whatever. Like they did that, and she goes in a spiral and ends up working for the bad guys. I thought they were going to do because they had like this whole build up towards the end where Buffy has to face off with Faith, and Buffy's talking like, look, I'm gonna have to kill Faith because she was an angel, needed the vampire slayer blood. It's like, okay, cool. And then they're fighting, and Buffy does stab her, right? And then she falls off the thing. Now she doesn't die, which I kind of felt like again, like it was non-committal. Like I felt like they should have had Faith die. But here's the thing, though. Even though Faith didn't die, Buffy still went to Faith's apartment with the intention of killing her, stabbed her, right? And then it's just that she just didn't happen to actually die. So I feel like the emphasis should be that Buffy attempted a murder. but they didn't go down that path. So it just seems like they're just kind of glossed over that fact that Buffy actually attempted to murder somebody, whereas Faith was an accident and then just kind of went in this downward spiral. Buffy actually attempted to murder somebody, but just didn't, just failed in the end. She went there with the intention of killing her. She stabbed her, got into a fight, stabbed her, and it just that she just so happened she didn't die. But she attempted to murder somebody, and that's what should be the emphasis, but just kind of glosses over that. And it had like another weird thing. The relationship with what's his face, Wesley and Cordelia, or I don't know if you could call it a relationship, but they kind of fancy each other and they kiss at the end, and it's just like awkward and nothing happens. But they kind of like in the show they kind of frame it as like this wrong thing because he's older, she's a student, which okay, I get that, but technically apparently she's 18, he's not her teacher, so in the technicality I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still weird, right? Still, I mean, because I guess he's about, I don't know if they say his age, but I'm guessing he's like mid-20s, maybe late 20s. So yeah, still a bit on the odd side when she's 18. But technically, it's at least less of an issue than, not even technically, it is less of an issue than Buffy and Angel, which they completely just gloss over. Like they don't even, not even, completely ignore the fact that Angel is like 240 something years old and Buffy's 18, and they're even worse than that, or even worse than that. How old was Angel when he got turned into a vampire? Because I'm guessing he's supposed to be in his mid-20s. So yeah, she looks like he's in his mid-20s, maybe late 20s. I don't know, but he looks like that kind of age and upwards. So he's already big man before he got turned into a vampire. Then, however many 200 whatever years later, then he's spying on a 16-year-old for a year, and then he has sex with a 17-year-old while she's still a minor, and he's mid-20s. That is much more of an issue, right? But no mention. But they're gonna at like the Wesley Cordelia is a taboo bad thing. all right. This one, he's gonna gloss over one of them, but point at the other one and be like, oh yeah. All right. Anyway, but speaking of Wesley, though, Wesley was an interesting character because he comes in and it's like he's he's supposed to replace Giles, and the way the show frames him is like we're supposed to look at him like he's this bumbling fool that doesn't really know what he's doing, and he does kind of have elements of that, to be fair. But I felt like for a lot of the time he really didn't do anything wrong. Well, apart from the Cordelia thing, that was awkward. But he mostly didn't really do anything wrong. He had a bit of an ego, sure, but then over time that seems to quell down. When he came in, he was all like, "Oh, I'm replacing Giles, and you should do what I say, and I'm in charge." Blah, blah, blah. He was all like that. But then it seemed over time he's taken Giles's input and taken it on board. But then the show's still framing him as this bumbling fool, and the way they speak to him, like they give him no respect, and it's kind of like, what is he doing wrong though? Like he's there from the council. He's given. In fact, the advice that he was given was much more solid than the plans that they would come up with. Like he would say, like about they've got, was it the box of Gaveron or whatever it was, and then rather than trading that to get Willow back, if they kept it, they could prevent a whole bunch of deaths. And yeah, it's sad that Willow could die because no one wants to see that, right? But what he said wasn't untrue. He was just speaking facts. Like, look, we've got this box. If we give it back to them, we pretty much go back to square one. With the favor, with the mayor being the favor being the mayor's favor. He could go for this ascension thing, kill a whole bunch of people, possibly including Willow as well. So he just lost Willow anyway. So it's like, yeah, it's sad, but this is kind of like the world that they're in. Like, these are the kind of decisions that they kind of make, and they don't really, well, he shouldn't really be playing around like that. Like, it's sad if Willow goes, but he wasn't wrong. And so, okay, so they gave him the box back, and they get Willow back. All right, cool. But then it's like, okay, Thingy gets poisoned, and it was the fact that Faith didn't go for the heart. It was clear that she was doing that to distract him, which again, Wesley points out, they're doing this to distract you. And she just got, and Buffy just kind of goes into this, and then by the end of it, it's like, so it's like Wesley's there as this voice of reason that they're just completely ignoring. But the whole time they're framing, the show is to frame him out to be the bumbling fool, which it doesn't quite fit. I mean, yeah, a little bit, but not fully, you know. And then there's like bits with Giles where, you know, he's fencing with Giles, and Giles is like, all of a sudden the master swordsman. Like, where did that come from? Because in the previous season, anytime Giles was trying to train with Buffy, he was just getting buoyed. You know what I mean? He was just getting made a fool of. Like he didn't know what he couldn't handle a thing. Now all of a sudden he can fence without looking. Really? I mean, if you're trying to say that Giles is a much better fencer than Wesley, then okay, cool. But are we really supposed to believe that Giles is proficient enough with the fencing sword to do it without looking? When I feel like he's never won a fight ever. He's constantly getting buoyed by. I think he got punched out one time by Buffy. You know, he tries to attack Buffy from behind. That didn't go nowhere. When he's going to like issues with like the demons, whatever, he's getting his ass kicked. And now we're supposed to believe that he's this fencer that can proficient enough to do it. Nah. You haven't earned that. You haven't earned that. But anyway, like by the time we get to the end of the season, it's like this final plan to get rid of the mayor, and his ascension was to have Buffy, have him chase after Buffy, and go into the school and blow up the school with him in it. So yeah, I guess that's what happens to Sunnydale. There's no more. As soon as Buffy graduates, it's like, yeah, we don't need a school no more. Forget these other kids, their education. We're just going to blow up this school. I mean, to be honest, that school should have gone a long time ago. The amount of deaths in that school is like, bruh. Matter of fact, that PTA, well, not PTA, what's it called? That parents thing they had where Joyce was like running that parents group, and they were like, oh, we need to campaign against these things. That should have happened ages ago. Like, why aren't more parents campaigning? I mean, I get why Joyce doesn't, because she knows about the demons and whatever, but why aren't the other parents doing that? You know, and I know the whole Hansel and Gretel thing they did for that episode, and then when that was over, it's like, okay, cool. But seriously, why aren't the other parents protesting about these deaths? And how is it a school that has all these deaths have such lax security? Like, Wesley's not a part of the school, he's just walking in and out into the library. Why? Like, should they have another place where they're supposed to meet if they're getting rid of Giles? Because Giles is actually the librarian there. Makes sense for him to be there. Wesley's just kind of walking in and out, and the other dude from the council is walking in and out. It's like, all right. Angel is walking in and out. Faith is walking in and out of this. Like, what's going on? Who's walking in and out of this school? All right. Like I said, it's committed enough to being a comedy. You can look past some of these things, but it doesn't. So it just stands out as this weird thing. But yeah, what was I saying? Like the plan at the end, Buffy's plan at the end, where they get all the students like shoot stuff at the demon mayor thing, the Ascension mayor, and it's like, that's such a terrible idea. That was such a terrible. I mean, she basically got a whole bunch of people who are untrained and inexperienced to fight this mega pure demon, putting so many people at risk. And I'm sure at least one or two people got bit, so possibly died or turned into vampires. You know, so it's like you put all those people in direct jeopardy, you know, because, you know, you wanted to avoid doing what Wes was saying when he was actually giving good advice. And it's like, we're supposed to look at this as the right option because Buffy's supposed to be the good, because that's how the show's framing it. You know, I mean, the show's framing it like Buffy is the good guy, and you know, I guess she is, but it's like she's a good guy with making so many bad decisions that nobody seems to address. So it's like we're just gonna glance over these things that, you know, like we just destroyed a school, we put people's lives in danger, at least a couple of people got bit. We're not going to address that. You know, We're not gonna take any, we're gonna turn up at people's house with intention of kill them, stab them. Okay, they didn't die, but we're not gonna address that. You know, it just feels like it does all these stuff that doesn't commit enough to look past it, and it's like, yeah, here we are. But anyway, anyway, like I said, I did enjoy it, and I do feel like I'm pretty invested in the story. So I guess Angel is next. I mean, I don't know if I'll watch it next. There's other shows that I want to maybe watch before I get to Angel, but that's next in the Buffy verse thing. Let's see what happens there. See how Spike comes back and how Cordelia gets involved. I know Cordelia and Spike are in the Angel series. To see how that goes. I mean, I liked how they did with Angel leaving. He just kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna say goodbye. Even though we did kind of turn up and stare at her one last time because he's a bloody pervert, I guess. But once a pervert, always a pervert. You know what I mean? But just kind of stared at her for a little bit and walked away. But it was like, all right, cool. I guess this is where Angel starts his series. Oh, another thing I noticed actually, by the way, is I don't know if it's fair to say it borrows from Friends, because to be fair, Buffy was a movie before it was a series, and that movie I think came out in '91 or something like that. But I've not seen that movie, so I don't know how similar the series is to the movie. And perhaps these were things they were doing it in the movie that they just carried on for the series, maybe. But yeah, there are a lot of similarities between Buffy and Friends. Like some of the characters are very similar. Like Xander is very similar to Chandler, and not just the fact that their names sound similar, but the actual character is very similar to Chandler in the sense that they both make a lot of jokes, and they both come from these sort of damaged homes, And then you have Willow, who's kind of very similar to Phoebe in that they're both into sort of mysticism and spirituality, and well, Phoebe's more, I guess, spirituality. Willow's a straight up witch, right? But it's a similar kind of path. You have Cordelia, who's very much like Joey, very much like Joey, which means she's the cool one. You have Giles, who's that's Ross. No, that's Ross right there. Buffy, very much Rachel. I'm not sure who Monica is represented by in the series. So I'm gonna have to give that one some thoughts. I don't think Oz is like Monica. Not really. Maybe a little bit here and there, but not enough to say that's a direct comparison. But so yeah, I'm not sure they've represented Monica in the show, but certainly the other ones, there's a lot of similarities, and also like that joke they did with the suicide. Friends actually did a similar joke to that, where Phoebe was like working on the telephone or something, and she calls this office, and there was this guy there that was wanting to kill himself because he felt neglected and ignored and that sort of thing. Phoebe ends up going to his office to talk him out of committing suicide, which she does do. And then this guy starts looking at her like like he's gonna ask her out, and I think Phoebe just says something like no, just kind of turns it down. And that works because Friends commits to being a comedy, so it worked for that. Didn't quite work with Buff. I don't think it didn't commit enough to the comedy side to pull off that joke. But yeah, it was like I say, still enjoyable, still pretty cool. Still walks this weird line in between comedy, drama, and horror without really committing to any of them all that much. But apparently, season 5 is where it fully commits. So that's the one to well, not the one, but something to look forward to. But anyway, that's enough of me dumping my opinions on videos. So yeah, let me know what you think if you've watched Buffy 1, 2, 3 seasons. No spoilers, please, because I'm still trying to get through them. Let me know what you think. Drop any suggestions, recommendations in the comments. Send them through, and I'll see what I can do. Like, share, subscribe, because we're doing this turn you get. If I've got more videos on the screen, check out other channels as well. Be much appreciated. But that's gonna be it for the minute. So guys, until whenever, if ever, peace.